Can you take a speaker one sheet, just one sheet, and turn it into a profitable content empire? We'll answer that question here, folks, in just a moment. Welcome, everybody, to episode 129 of the Content Profit Show. And I always say or follow that little announcement with thank you for getting us here. It's all our guests, it's all our members, it's all our viewers and listeners that got us here. I when I started this in August of 22, I never saw this. So thank you, folks. Lots of good things coming up. Watch your email for that, of course. I want to dive right into today's topic because it's going to be so cool. Right over here is a gentleman I just met last week from our buddies Denise Wakeman and Andy. Oh, what is it? I'm blanking on his name. O'Brien. I know him. Oh my goodness. I blame the upper respiratory infection and the drugs. And so he dived right in, jumped right in, which I was excited about. And Dane is the character coach. And we're going to dive deep into, I'm looking at, why am I saying I'm looking at? Why don't I just show it? What a concept. All right. And there's his one sheet. Before we dive in there, Dane, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for an opportunity.
Absolutely. My pleasure. What's a character coach?
Yeah, so, in these days and age, you hear people talk about the fact that everybody needs a coach. And some people have more than one coach, a life coach, maybe a sport or exercise coach, a health coach, lots of different coaches out there. But I've hardly ever heard anyone even say that they're a character coach. Someone who coaches character skills first before they focus on the life skills and the health skills and the other things that other coaches put together.
I love it. I love it. And I also love the alliteration, character coach. Nicely done. It's catchy. So, we were talking beforehand and, you've got 5 speaking topics here on this one sheet. And then I noticed down here, you've got a 1-hour workshop, keynote address, half-day seminar, full-day seminar. I get it. I'm a speaker. I've done all of those. You know what the challenge is, though? Most of those are one-shot deals.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do is help you get some recurring stuff. And so tell us a little bit about the tricycle effect, less than you told me for sake of time, but just kind of a quick Reader's Digest overview. What is the tricycle effect?
Sure. So, I try. I'm a teacher by degree and a coach by profession.
Got it.
So bottom line is I like to paint images in people's minds so they remember things clearly and they're not trying to remember words, right? We all are more visual than we are audible, so to speak. And so the tricycle is a great image because most of us as kids rode big wheels or tricycles, right? The big wheel on the front of a tricycle is what I call the character skills wheel. So the spokes on that wheel form things like trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, empathy, loyalty. The back 2 wheels I call the competence wheels. One of them is a technical skill. That's where most people spend their time, 90% of their time on, can I get better at my cyber technology, or can I keyboard? Can I bake a cake? Can I drive a car? Whatever their profession is as well, right? But the other side of the balanced wheels in the back, because they should be the same size, is called the people skills wheel. Teamwork, leadership, communication, problem solving, critical thinking. And then the seat on the tricycle is what I call the seat of courage. Courage to make the right decision at the right time for the right reason. And if you think of a tricycle, the handlebars and the pedals are connected to the front wheel, so you get your momentum and your direction in life from your character skills wheel. So that's the tricycle effect in a nutshell.
I love that. Well said. And I like that. The seat of courage.
Yep.
I like that a lot.
You hear people talk about courage these days in leadership training all the time, but nobody really knows how that actually fits into the scope of everything else in life, right?
Yeah,
Does courage just happen? Is it a skill? Is it natural? And all that.
Random. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So what's your dream with all this, Dane?
So really my focus is to try and make a difference for people. If you think of those back two wheels on the tricycle, they're the competence wheels. That's where we add success to our own lives. We can add value to other people's lives when we focus on the character skills wheel. So that's what I call the significance wheel. And if we can be more significant for other people, I think things like depression in our youth and anxiety, some of the chaos and dysfunction that we have, especially the polarization we've got in our culture these days, created by a lot of technology that's out there, which doesn't really focus on building relationships. I think that will help us add significance and add value to all of those areas.
Absolutely love it. All right, so let's dive in here to the trial ascension model here. So, folks, forgive me if you don't know, but I've been fighting a upper respiratory infection for about 5-6 days, and this is 99% better. What you're hearing now. So, Dane's new content empire speaker one sheet. We're building from. Going to talk about getting traffic to it later. Here's what I put together that you can do with each one of these topics, Dane. Well, we're just going to focus on the tricycle effect now. You're working on courses, right?
Right.
Okay. And to me, that tricycle's got the modules built out. Okay.
Yeah.
The big wheel could be its own course or a mini course with those 7 or 8 spokes. So, getting that course done is going to be important. And then let's work backwards, okay? Because each piece of that course, let's say it's a 5-module course. Or do you know how many modules it's going to have?
Yeah, the mini course is actually 5 mini modules.
Okay. And that's what you're working on now?
Yep, that's what we're working on right now.
Cool. All right. And so, working backwards from a course, you've got the mini courses, one for each spoke if you wanted to. Working further backwards is a master class. And here's what a master class is not. It's not a same old fluff and pitch webinar, with a fancy name put on it. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something you're paid to do. Okay. So people got skin in the game. And they're going to walk away with a skill. Okay. With a knowing what to do or with a skill. Just looking at your one area here with the tricycle effect, gosh, that's a whole lot of master classes you could do. Now, the cool thing is, as we move up towards memberships, which to me is the holy grail of all of this, because there is incredible financial security in monthly income. Okay. I have a whole Google sheet that just charts when stuff's coming in. And when I make a new sale, a new one goes in, and that has a very calming effect on me. When I look at it, it's like, wow, if I don't do anything else, this is okay, cool. So that's why I look at this as the pinnacle for everyone. Now you could go super large and have an umbrella membership that contained everything, all of your different topics. Okay. That might be something to look at later. We've got to see if it's going to be something that's overwhelming. It's almost like you could create your own university, character coaching CCU. And so, or we could pull it back to this one thing, okay? The tricycle effect. And there is so much in there. If you just took the 3 wheels and the seat, okay, a topic from those, and ran those once a month, you've got 4 topics, right? And then you would just do it over 2 more times a year, okay? And you would pick a topic, go deeper. And some people say, well, wait a minute, what about the people that have already been there and we're going to talk about this again? Well, guess what? You might not have been ready the first time you heard it, or you may be in a different place the first time you heard it, and you're going to hear different stuff about it. The other part of it is there'll be people in there that joined since the last time. So,
yeah, you and I talked about gymnastics before we came on.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm a professional gymnastics coach. And one of the things I've learned is, and I teach the athletes that I've got, is that there are different levels of learning, right? You could start with a particular skill and you could do it, but then you're going to establish habits, and you've got to get rid of those habits so you can continue to do the skill properly, right? So there's actually different levels of performance on each individual skill. And what you just said there is a perfect segue into that.
That's a really good point. And what you remind me of is playing racquetball, because I mean, the thing I learned early was always play someone better than you. Might not have been great for the ego, but you learned.
Yep.
Because I quickly learned there are so many different levels of this. And then there's guys that I just, how? You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's the place to get. I love it.
You know,
I
this
love it.
weekend we did a gymnastics meet in Madison, Wisconsin, and one of my top kids is 11 years old is all. And she was rotating in a group that had 5 other kids that were in levels above her, and they all worked together as a team between the two teams, the two different teams. But it was amazing to watch the transformation in her eyes, and you could just see her mind churning. This is a skill I could do. This is a skill I could do. The other girls are being encouraging. There is so much there in terms of just helping the athlete to learn the skills, but then learn the routine, but then learn the life skills beyond that.
That is so huge. My pastor, Andy Stanley, tells a story of, I think it's his sister, that they adopted a kid from overseas, right? Brought him back here, got her in swimming, you know, to meet people and get athletic and get moving and stuff. Well, she absolutely loved swim meets, this young kid, okay, about the same age as you're talking about. But she'd been in a world totally unlike ours, okay?
Yeah.
So she comes in, she's going to all these swim meets. She swims and swims and swims, makes all these friends, invites people, can't wait to get there, okay? But her mom noticed that, as connected as she wasn't really being competitive. She wasn't placing or winning very much. And her mom pulled her aside one day and said, this is a race. You can do your best here and see what happens. And I love that little girl goes, you mean this is a race? I thought it was a swim meet. And I'm like, talk about the whole world opening up for someone.
Yep.
I absolutely love that. And I saw that in your eyes and on your face when I was talking to y'all in Denise and Andy's group last week. As you were catching a couple of things, I went, okay, that guy's paying attention. So yeah, we get that. All right. So here's the cool thing. All right. All of these are sources of income, these 4 big ones. In my experience, every one of them will drive people toward the membership. Okay. And in my world, I like to say all roads lead to membership. Okay. Let me back up before I do that piece. I'm real big on reasonable service delivery time and reasonable service consumption time. Okay. You and I have been around long enough to remember the days of the thud factor. The course with 87 PDFs and 200,000 videos. And I'm not exaggerating by much. And we're way past that. One, we burn out, customers burn out. People right now want it. Give me the bottom line. Show me how. Give me a little encouragement. Thank you very much. And so with what we're doing here, this membership could be as simple as one specific training a month from one of these topics, and then a Q&A. Okay. And even if those went an hour, throw in, that's 2 hours, throw in all the other stuff behind it. That's about 3 hours a month service delivery time for recurring income. So, as my buddy Mike Stewart says, that don't suck. All right. So masterclass, about, I don't know, a fifth of the people that take a masterclass will end up in a recurring membership. About a third of a mini course, and a good half of a course. 50% will end up in a membership. because they're getting a taste and they want more, right?
Sure.
Um, I figured this out years ago. I was coming back from my mentor's place in Virginia Beach and was doing a preview call for something that night. And when I came back to the Atlanta area, like I didn't make it back. I only made it as far as Charlotte. So I do my little hotel thing and get all set up to do my show. I'm walking around listening to the laughter, making sure I don't leave anything out. And I hear myself say, "Congratulations to one name, two names, three names." I always do that when somebody comes on board during a webinar. It stopped me in my tracks, Dane, because I went, "Wait a minute. All three of those people are in the membership." So I went back and looked at the numbers. I went, "Oh, half of the people in a course move on. Okay, it's good to know this number."
Yeah, that's
and,
very interesting.
and again, all roads lead to membership. Now, that doesn't mean somebody has to start masterclass and work their way up. These are all on ramps. People can come on at any one of these.
The
So,
one thing that I think ties all that together that you were talking about is really building relationships, right?
oh yeah, yeah,
So, and we so need that in our society today. We were talking a little bit about the addiction from social media,
right.
AI dilemma now, and so forth. There are so many challenges out there. And I've been in IT for over 42 years. I sold my IT company 4 years ago to focus just on character coaching. And bottom line is that we really need to get back to handshakes and face-to-face relationships.
It's so huge. There was an organization that I spoke for twice a year here in the Atlanta area around internet stuff for years. And it was funny. Those events and any other events I go to, it was fun putting names with faces and handshakes or hugs or whatever. But what really cracked me up was the people somewhere in the first 5 minutes of talking, they'd go, "Jeff, I thought you'd be taller." It took me a while to come up with a response, Dane. And finally I would say, "So did I."
Yeah.
I got to 5'10" and figured it was enough, you know? Um, but there's something about being with people, spending time with people, that makes a huge difference. I know a lot of families that homeschool. Well, not a lot, but I know a few, which is fine. And when I talk with these folks, I said, "Where are they getting their social world? Where are they doing? Is it a sport? Is it this? You got to do that. You got to have the connection because, I mean, I remember when I was a kid thinking it was weird that we didn't know the people behind us or the people category behind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's always been my thing wherever I live. I want to know at least the circle around me. And you and I are on the same wavelength. All right. Are you getting a glimpse of the future here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is exciting. I have all these years that I've been in IT, you're always chasing the shiny object, right? What's the next new technology, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Well, the bottom line is the technology now isn't even stable. By the time you think of one or get signed up for one, there's a better one out there or another one that has another twist on it that's supposedly even better, right? So
Yep.
choosing, the platforms to have membership on and courses and all that has been my challenge lately.
Okay.
But we're getting ready to
Definitely help with
roll
that.
those out because I think we've got a good handle on that now. So I can really add value to people and help them to reconnect with their heart. I'm a big believer in what's called heart math. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I love it.
So, we were all an embryo at one point when we started to develop. One side of our body became our legs and bottom half, and the other side was our top half. Well, just like we all know acupuncture and acupressure, there's different parts of the body connected because we have cells that are connected to those other parts of the body. The head and heart are exactly the same. We have brain cells in our heart and we have heart cells in our brain. And, it's just an amazing transformation. We can connect our heart to our head and get people to build relationships again and stop some of this, help to defend and stop some of this polarization in our society and bring families back together again. I think there's a whole healing element here, but including memberships, courses, and master
It's
classes.
very healing when done right. And, I'm a simple guy, and things got to be simple to me to do them. And so I keep everything simple. And I call it, you'll understand this from Wisconsin, I call it the Vince Lombardi approach to technology.
Yeah.
Okay. You remember this?
Oh, yeah.
Whether they'd won or lost, whether they'd won a Super Bowl or whatever, he started every training camp with, this is a football.
Yep. Basics.
Yeah. Yeah. Start there. And a lot of times you don't got to go past it, you know? That's why in my memberships, people that are my mentees, one of the rules is you don't buy a course, you don't spend another dime without running it by me. Because I will say, even if it's mine, because I will say, no, you don't need that, or not now, or yes. Okay. So, all right. Any questions as we wrap up?
Well, you know, one of the things you reminded me of there when you talked about that was the fact that, like in our gym, I can just give a high five to the kids, or when they're stretching on the floor at the beginning of practice, I go around, tap them on the shoulder, tap them on the head. That makes a huge difference. Some of those kids, I may have been the only one they thought noticed them today, right? And my wife and I, she's the director in the gym. I work for her. I tell people all the time, she's the brains, I'm the brawn. I flip the kids, but she does all the smart stuff, right? But the bottom line is that those touches are huge. And we've, even though it's a virtual reality right now, I can't reach through the screen, but I bet you before long we'll be teaching with a hologram. And Jeff, you'll be able to reach through the screen and tap me on the shoulder with one of those virtual goggles and a glove to be able to make that connection, right?
I will be surprised if it doesn't happen that way. I really will. I teach, one of the things I do at Volunteer is I coach small group leaders at church. And one of the things I teach from the beginning, I call it fist bump power. And they're like, what is that? I said, every time a kid walks in the room, the big room, the group room, every time you see a kid for the first time, it can be a fist bump, it can be a high five, it can be a whatever. Do that. And that makes so much difference. Just the getting touched part. All right, we could talk about this for hours, but we got to wrap up here. Dane, thank you for being such a great guest and bringing fantastic stuff. And putting up with my cough. I'm super excited about what's possible here, not only for you and your goals, for your dream about changing the world with this, because Lord knows we need it. All right, folks, if you want to be sitting over here or down here, let me get this back to where it's just us. After I find my mouse, there we go. There we go. If you want to be sitting over here in Dane's seat someday, not at his home. I mean, it's cold in Wisconsin. Come on. In your own home or office, right down here is contentprofitseat.com. You can go there and get hooked up. We're full through about the next month, but we'll get you in. And folks, a lot of places you could have been. Chose to be here. Thank you. Always an honor and always a privilege. Dane, again, thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you very much for the honor and privilege of being here with you, Jeff. And, you know, just a reminder to everybody out there that character is the foundation of leadership. So trike on.
Say that again. That was so cool.
Character is the foundation of leadership. Trike on.
Trike on. I love it. That's t-shirts and buttons and stickers and all kinds of stuff. All right, folks, until episode 130, which is next time, go use this stuff.